Gateway Arch holds symbolism as the gateway to the west. It is the tallest monument in the United States. The area was established in 1935 as the Jefferson National Expansion Memorial. The courthouse that is now part of the park was last used as a courthouse in 1930. And in 1940, it is when the courthouse was donated to the park to be part of the land. The arch was completed in 1965, and in 2018, the United States made it its 60th national park. Gateway Arch National Park is the United States' smallest national park. This national park is controversial. A lot of people think it was made to be a national park to support tourism. Another reason is its size, and because it does not protect a lot of nature the way other parks do. To give you help in understanding how small it is, the second smallest national park is Hot Springs National Park in Arkansas. The Gateway Arch has less than 2% size-wise when comparing to Hot Springs National Park. We visited Gateway Arch before it was technically designated as a national park. We went on September 11th, 2015. It was the 50th anniversary of the arch, which means that this year the arch should be turning 61. When we went, the arch was under major construction, the grounds all around it, and we did have to buy our tickets in the old courthouse and park near there to then walk over to the arch and not really get to explore the grounds. As you can see from pictures, there was a lot of construction and they walled off basically the path to get to the arch so that you could go up into the arch. Going up into the arch, I would say, is the main attraction for visiting Gateway Arch. This is us in the little pod that takes you up to the top of the arch. And it was pretty tight, but doable. It's 630 feet up. At the top, the main event is to look out the windows and see all of the views. And if you look in this photo, those tiny little squares are the little windows that you get to look out, either west or east. When you look west, you'll get a view of the courthouse and St. Louis. And when you look east, you will be looking over the Mississippi River and Illinois. Overall, it's a really cool experience going to the top of the arch. When we went in September of 2015, tram tickets were $10 that day, and because we had the Parks Pass, we each got $3 off. So it was $7 per person. Now the tickets are $15 to $19 depending on the season, and you do still get a $3 discount if you have a National Parks Pass. They highly recommend that you get your tickets in advance because they sell out. Other popular things to do at the Arch are the virtual reality theater and the St. Louis Riverfront Cruise, as well as just checking out the grounds as they have made vast improvements in the last 10 years. Gateway Arch National Park commemorates multiple things: the Louisiana Purchase, the first civil government west of the Mississippi River, as well as explorers and pioneers who ventured west. Gateway Arch also celebrates Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, who is known as the author of the Declaration of Independence, the separation of church and state. When it comes to expanding the United States, Thomas Jefferson was the president who did the deal to purchase the Louisiana territories. He also purchased the port of New Orleans, and he also was the president that sent Lewis and Clark out on their expedition. Lewis and Clark did start their mission by leaving the St. Louis area, And they also, 2 years later, returned to the St. Louis area to complete their expedition. It was an expedition to go all the way to the Pacific Ocean and back. After the exploration of Lewis and Clark, William Clark did have a museum. His museum once stood where the grounds of the arch now stand. Weird fact about Thomas Jefferson is that he died on the 4th of July, exactly 50 years after the adopting of the Declaration of Independence. And also on that same day, our second president of the United States, John Adams, also died just hours later. Thomas Jefferson is featured on Mount Rushmore, has a memorial in Washington, D.C., and Gateway Arch National Park in St. Louis, Missouri. This is the third place I have covered for our third president where he has been remembered. With all of the things that the Gateway Arch National Park represents, also Jefferson's history is also controversial. He is someone that declared that all men are created equal, yet he was a slave owner, and he fathered children with one of his slaves. Along with westward expansion and the third president of the United States, this national park also represents human rights and women's rights. The old courthouse held the first 2 trials of Dred Scott and his wife Harriet, who fought for them as a couple and their 2 daughters to gain freedom from slavery. The courthouse is also where Virginia Minor and her husband sued the registrar that refused her attempt to register to vote. Both of those cases ended up in the Supreme Court and ended up denying those people their rights, starting in that courthouse. Dred Scott did gain his freedom, but unfortunately died of tuberculosis soon after. His grave finally ended up in the Calvary Cemetery, and people would put Lincoln pennies on his grave for good luck. And in 2023, his great-great-granddaughter put a very nice, large monument to honor him and his bravery, the fight that he gave against slavery. The decision that the Supreme Court made regarding Dred Scott's case has gone down as the absolute worst U.S. Supreme Court decision in the history of the United States. National parks definitely teach us a lot about American history. And not always are we pleased to find out what we learn. But I do believe in protecting these parks and learning more about history each time I go. As always, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe, comment, like, and share my videos. And I will keep bringing you really cool places in the United States. Safe travels, everyone!